Okay guys, and we're going to try and make a little flower here, and we're going to try and make some sort of key ring type thing using the pewter casting technique. And here's one we did earlier, and what you can do, you can cast this, cut it off, and you made a knot and a cross, and we'll show you that cut off later. Okay? Hi Shed Hackers, we're going to do a bit of pewter casting again. We're going to heat this and melt it, and Jake and I are very carefully going to melt this so it becomes a liquid form, from solid to liquid. Come back to you in a minute. Okay, we're actually using a very hot heat gun, several thousand watt one, very effective, and the heat and the air combined seems to be doing an even better job than the blowtorch. Isn't it, Jake? Yeah. Can you see the molten metal now? From solid to liquid. Really effective, look at that. You see it, you get really, that's excellent. Back to you in a minute. All exciting stuff today in the shed. Look at that. Hi Shed Hackers, before we pour, little point about safety, it's all very dangerous this. You need a face shield. You could even wear some goggles underneath the face shield. You need a decent pair of leather gloves, quite long ones that go up your arm, and you need some sort of leather apron, something like that. That'll take a hot material on it, okay? And these actually aren't that expensive, all right? Really important that you think about your safety first, okay? Now the reason why you might need all these things, if there's any water or moisture that is in the actual form, the actual mould you might be using, and as you close it, if there's any moisture inside there, the moisture can suddenly turn into steam and blow out the molten material, and that can be very devastating to your skin, obviously. Okay, so we're going to pour in a minute, and that should be quite exciting to watch. Just coming back, look, we're nearly there. Molten metal. This is pewter. About 200 degrees that. We've had to revert back to the torch, the gas torch, because we noticed that the electronic blowtorch had a thermal cutout. It actually cut it out the heat if it gets too hot itself. Obviously not designed for jobs like this. So I should have mentioned proper shoes on as well with this. Decent shoes so it can take a little bit of a splash. Leather shoes and no exposed skin at all. So proper trousers with your gloves on, some decent leather loafers, and no exposed skin. That should be within a foot or two of the hot metal, liquid metal. Oh, we're ready for pouring. Are you ready, Jay?
Yeah.
We're nice and hot.
I'll just stand back and then I can zoom in.
We've got a metal base, so we're obviously not heating the bench and burning the bench. And I've checked it's not hot, there's no heat transferring to the wood bench underneath. It's all very safe at the moment, I think. Yeah. I hope. All that dirt on top that may cause a problem, we'll see. Okay. Well, we'll do the pouring in a minute. Come back to you. Okay, Shed Hackers, here we go. We're going to pour it as best we can in there, standing back. A bit on the floor there. Okay, and that's our noughts and crosses. There's there's the design. Okay, and it should look like these when they're done. Okay, those noughts and crosses. Okay, there's a little bit of spillage on the floor, but we've got our decent shoes on and we're properly covered up. And there's a bit of spillage there, and it will cool on the vise very quickly. Actually, I'll just lean that there.
One thing is,
this will cool within minutes. That'll be look at that. It's quite actually. I can feel even through the glove. It's cold, pretty cold. But on wood, of course, it will take longer time to cool off.
And also make sure you do this on like a metal vise and not like a wooden one over there, because the wooden one may burn or like catch on fire.
Right, I'll take this off. Okay, I'll take my gloves off now.
And there's the grand
Look
finale.
at that, brilliant. And we'll take that out and cut into two, and we'll have another noughts and cross. And we need a couple of those, and we'll have our own little game we've made.
Yes.
Okay. Now, interesting, while you're there, shed hackers, you'll be interesting to know, we did a bit of studying, and we found out around the shed, that is cast. It's actually something to take off a windscreen wiper on a car. But that's definitely a cast alloy, I think, Jake. A mini cast vise. You can see the casting on it. Yeah, casting's often got that sort of grainy edge to it, and you can see, and then it's been machined with another machine to get it nice and smooth. But the giveaway is that sort of rough edge to it, sort of rough casted edge. And then of course, because we're shed hackers, we use weights in our workouts. It's a very small one, look, 2.5 kilograms. But that's cast iron. It's ferrous metal, as you know. Containing iron. Ferrum is a Latin word. That is a mixture of castings. Here, that's cast. There's that sort of grainy image to it. And that's definitely cast. You know, sort of underneath that paint, you can see it's cast. And then it's been machined by a milling machine of some type to get it nice and smooth. And it's been chromium plated, I think, that one. Really lovely. Old-fashioned drill. It's quite handy. And then we think this is forged, actually. We think this has been pressed into shape. And you can see the press line there where it's been forced from two surfaces and then machined nice and smooth. Some cutters for metalwork and snips. That's definitely been cast. It's a key ring for a key, funny enough. And you can see it's quite crudely cast, that. Good luck, isn't it? And then we've got, the old, what's that, Jake?
G-clamp.
From company up the road. And you can see that casting shape there. This hasn't been cast, the thread. That's been machined on some sort of metal lathe. But this has been cast in a shape. Has that been cast, you think, Jake?
Well, as you picked it up, I just saw it said forged steel. So that may mean it's the company forged steel, or it's actually steel that's been forged. Yeah,
forge is a pressing process. And that could be a little bit of research for you. All these, couldn't they? Do a bit of research. Some needle files here. They've been, I think, cast and then hardened using quite a lot of carbon in there. Some high carbon steel. That'll be that. Right, come back to you in a minute, guys. Hi, shed hackers. Okay, so we've made this one, and that was made by hand using coping saw or piercing saw, and we're going to go on to perhaps making other things by hand. There's one, I've tried to make one that says shed hacks, can you see? And I may have a go at making that in Pewter in a minute, so stay with us, guys. Don't disappear. Okay, now at my company, we've been looking at other methods of making it, and we can actually laser cut. There's one that says shed H, and the reverse being cut out with a laser cutter is there. Isn't that clever? That's the reverse of that, and we'll try and cut out that a little later. And of course with the laser cutter you can cut out other images and engrave things. Really clever machine actually, which you'll see in another clip in a minute. So that's something we're going to cut out and pour in the pewter in a minute. Okay, moving on a little bit. I thought we'd show you some of the research we've done. Hi guys, so some other processes you can use in terms of metals and plastics even. You've got die casting. Okay, you can die cast actually pieces in aluminium. You can die cast as we have in pewter using a crude method here. Slip casting. So you look at these online and see, you know, what you can find out. But also in plastics you can injection mold, and I'm going to do a little clip on injection molding some items later on. Blow molding is how they blow mold plastic cartons, such as these. These are actually blow molded. That's blow molded the plastic, PVC type probably. Rotational moulding like canoes and large containers are rotational moulded. Really worth a look online and see what products are made from these different processes.
So Dad, Why do we have loads of different types of moulding methods when we could just use one for everything?
Well, that's a really good question. Here's some research I found for you, Jake. This is actually industrial pewter casting, done very precisely actually. And these are fidget spinners being made. And this is the pewter here. And there's the ball bearing on the ball race in the middle. And maybe we'll have a go at that later. So it looks really exciting. Okay, and also, you mentioned about different work. Well, some of my work involves this. I've been in construction, that's civil engineering. And I've got involved many times in electrical engineering. And I have lots of friends, as you do, who are your uncles, who are in electrical engineering. And of course, your uncle who works in Brussels, who is a chemical engineer. All really high-tech stuff. Look at this aviation and this 3D virtual reality engineering. And it's all very, very well-paid work. So, guys, these sort of questions and this sort of these areas of learning can actually lead to real jobs. Okay, moving on. Great, look at that, high-end engineering. So if you pan out there a little bit, Jake. Oh, and Darth Vader. This is all plastic engineered, isn't it? Injection moulded or probably vacuum formed, worth looking at. There you go, guys, look at vacuum forming. But I bet that engine is die cast. Lots of those parts are die cast aluminium. Okay, so we've learned a lot today, and I think we're going to go back to our pewter casting of the shed hacks.